Welcome back to the channel guys, and welcome back to Koenigsegg'S Dagbok, and welcome to episode 14 where we'll be talking about the jesko attack. And of course the jesko having two variants, i.e. the attack, i.e. the track focus variant, and the absolute being the absolutely most powerful and the fastest Koenigsegg to ever be made. That thing will be reviewed in the next episode, so stay tuned for that. But this episode we'll be diving into the jesko attack, i.e. the track focus weapon, and i.e. the AMG1 killer. And of course there's a list of reasons for me calling it that, starting off with the fact that this thing has a 5-liter twin turbo V8 that weighs in at 189 kilograms, and this very engine is in fact the world's fastest production revving engine out there. And this thing has a proper, of course, a red line of 8500 rpms when driving, but it red lines at 7800 rpms when stationary. And it has in fact been tested by Koenigsegg themselves, where this thing in fact goes from idle to 7800 rpm, and of course this is a proper stationary time. It goes from idle to 7800 rpm in 213 milliseconds, just over 0.2 of a second, and this thing has an average acceleration rate in RPMs of 31,700 RPMs per second, and thereby making this the world's fastest production revving engine out there. And well guys, I mean, this just shows the level of craftsmanship and the level of engineering that Koenigsegg has set for the new age of hypers and megacars, and of course supers also to a certain extent. But guys, this thing is literally a complete beast in terms of aero and downforce. Well, this thing is a proper beast, and that's also a proper reason as to why I called it the AMG1 killer. Of course, the 5-liter twin turbo V8, as I said, the world's fastest production revving engine out there, 5-liter twin turbo V8, and this thing makes 1280 horsepower with pump fuel, and it makes, with E85 in the tank, 1600 horsepower. This thing is a complete menace guys. 1600 horsepower, the same as a Bugatti Chiron Super Sport, and it generates a maximum of 1500 Nm of torque. Of course, the power going right to the rear wheels, and this is also the first ever Koenigsegg to feature the triplex suspension in the back as well as in the front, due to the fact of the high rate of downforce. And talking downforce, this thing generates a maximum of 1400 kilograms of downforce. This thing, I mean 1400 kilograms guys, that number literally can't be calculated in terms of the fact of this being a proper road car. This literally generates more than a Formula 1 car, and that just blows my mind. And of course this thing having triplex suspension in the front means that you can sadly no longer store the hardtop in the front, and of course that also means no luggage space. But it's a hypercar, that practicality shouldn't play a role, but Christian von Koenigsegg himself has made it so that practicality does play a role, a small role, but nevertheless a role to a certain extent in this car, given the fact that it has two cup holders. Just why the hell not? And of course 1600 horsepower coming right out of that engine guys. And in terms of the sound, this thing, although being a twin turbocharged V8, it has the sound and the pitch of a naturally aspirated engine. And well guys, this thing even spits flames, and this is a proper factory twin turbo V8. It's not a naturally aspirated beast, it's a twin turbocharged V8, a 1600 horsepower behemoth all the way from ängelholm. And well, I mean, this thing spits flames guys. And of course we'll be taking a listen to the music of the jesko shortly, so just stay tuned for that. And of course guys, a 5-liter twin turbo V8, the world's fastest production revving engine out there, 1600 horsepower with E85 in the tank, but nevertheless 1280 horsepower is still highly commendable and still a lot for a road car. But 1400 kilograms of downforce guys, that's the number that I can't wrap my head around, and that's exactly why I call it the AMG1 killer. And well, this thing is a complete carbon fiber body, and of course it also has the triplex suspension in the front, as I said, and that is in fact there along with the triplex suspension in the back to make sure that this thing is flat and that thing is upright and stiff when going at incredibly high speeds due to the high rate of downforce, i.e. 1400 kilograms, which is literally nearly the same as the curb weight, i.e. 1420 kilograms. This thing could most likely, if it didn't have the triplex suspension in the front, it could most likely burrow its way into the earth core. Well, that would not be something I would be up for watching, but nevertheless guys, that thing, this is a proper pinnacle of engineering in, of course, in terms of the production cars of hypers and megacars. This is a new bar that has been set. And in terms of the music of the jesko, let's just take a listen. as I said guys, this thing sounds like a beast, and the fact that this thing spits flames with a twin turbo V8 in the back, it literally blows my mind. But that is literally just Koenigsegg doing their typical stuff, and they're literally upping the bar and setting a new bar every time they release a car. The Gemera, the CC850, the jesko, all of these, and of course the old ones, the 1-to-1 is a very big prime example for this. One of the first ever road legal cars to feature, of course, the main party popper of that, i.e. the 1-to-1 power to weight ratio. And well, they literally just kept on upping the bar and setting new standards for every car they make, and that continues on with the jesko and this massive 5-liter twin turbo V8 that sounds like an NV8, that spits flames, and of course is the fastest revving production engine ever made. And well, you can only go on and on about it, but of course we've got a lot more to talk about and some very big things. Of course, one of them being the proper 9-speed light-speed transmission, which if you ask me is completely a proper revolutionary innovation in the automotive sector, given the fact that it literally has no clutch and flywheel. It is a complete menace of an innovation. And in terms of the fact that this thing is a proper 9-speed light speed, yes guys, you heard that right, it's a 9-speed transmission, and the words 9-speed light speed actually mean a lot and actually have a literal meaning to it, which we'll be talking about completely in detail shortly. But first on, let's talk a little bit more about the jesko and its features, starting off with, of course, they've added a lot of new features into the interior, starting off with, of course, the brand new smart cluster and the smart wheel, where of course you've literally not got a massive dash with your gauge cluster on the front, where now in fact you've got a small minuscule dial which is literally like the size of your basic phone, just attached right to the steering column, and it in fact rotates along with the steering wheel. So you can literally, you being the driver of course, you do not have to tilt your head to see the speed when you're going around Eau Rouge at let's say around 300 kph. You literally don't have to tilt your head to see the speed. It will just rotate along with you, i.e. the gauge of course, and that is literally a proper engineering marvel. But that's not all. That's not all guys. They've also introduced the brand new smart wheel, where of course you've got some miniature haptic screens on both ends of the steering wheel, left and right, and these have your basic controls, i.e. the audio control, the phone control, the cruise control, the ride control, and so on. And that's not all. You've also got some additional bits of titanium right above and underneath the haptic screens, which of course use the indicators, the wiper wash, and a couple more features. These have the perforated logos of the indicator, the wiper wash, and the headlights, and all. And these literally look, when the car is off, they literally look like there's literally nothing, but when the car is on, they literally look like the logos are literally just hovering in thin air, because this sheet of titanium, it literally looks like a piece of crystal clear glass. I mean, I don't know how they managed to do it. Hence this thing no longer having any toggles, where of course you literally use your fingers to flick up to indicate, to use the wiper wash to turn on the headlights, to engage high beam, low beam, and so on. You literally don't have any of that, because the haptic screens and these small titanium bits, which are in fact the proper controls that a driver will have, thereby showcasing that the driver doesn't need to take his proper visual connection off with the road in order to see this, because all the controls are literally just there at the helm of the hand. And that just shows how completely convenient Koenigsegg is making it for the drivers. Of course, you've literally got a 1600 horsepower rocket right behind your head, a 5-liter twin turbo V8 that howls away as loud as possible, and the startup of this, well, you all heard it, and this thing sounds beastly AF. And well guys, I mean, as I said, they literally just keep setting new standards with every car that they bring out, and this car, the jesko, is a proper testament to that. And of course, the proper smart cluster, the smart wheel, and this is also the roomiest Koenigsegg ever made, given the fact that you actually got a sustainable amount of room. And of course guys, this thing also comes with a certain amount of practicality, as I said, because you literally get 2 cup holders in the center. Don't know why, but nevertheless, we'll take what we can get. And the thing is guys, the thing with practicality is, in a car of this nature, most people will not even look for practicality, other than the fact if you're driving solo and you plan to do a complete road trip in it, then it's completely doable, because of course you've got the side seat and you can store your luggage in there. But the thing is, practicality doesn't play a huge role in it, because the people who buy these types of cars will just buy them to drive them like hell. But also a better part of the people who buy these types of cars are the people who will garage clean them and make sure no shade of sunlight touches the paint job on this for like a couple of years or maybe even a couple of decades. And that is something that I completely frown upon, but nevertheless, to each their own. But nevertheless guys, these types of cars are meant to be driven, and practicality is literally just an added complementary to the fact that you are buying a 1600 horsepower Swedish rocket. But nevertheless guys, all these new features and all this stuff is literally just a complete testament to the fact that Koenigsegg keep growing in terms of engineering and complete advancements by car, and just setting a new standard for the new generation of hypers and mega cars. And well, given the fact that this thing sounds as beastly as this, and it still blows my mind as to how a twin turbocharged V8, not a naturally aspirated V8, it is a twin turbocharged V8 that spits flames on demand from, of course, the factory. You're not putting on any Acropoch exhaust or not a Gintani flame tune or whatever. It's a 1600 horsepower twin turbo V8 that spits flames from factory. Who could have guessed it, guys? And that just shows the level of engineering that Koenigsegg is at. And of course, the digital synchro-helix doors. And although you can no longer stow the hardtop in the front, I mean, we are not one to complain. I mean, it's not such a big complaining point, is it? I mean, we're literally, you either drive it with the top off or the top on, but nonetheless, I mean, it's not such a huge problem as it is. You've got a 1600 horsepower Swedish rocket. You should be more than happy given the fact that you're getting one of these. And also in terms of the suspension, you obviously get your basic double wishbone suspension with the carbon fiber rear upper wishbones, with of course electronically adjustable gas hydraulic shock absorbers, with of course the triplex suspension in the front and the back, and of course a massive air duct in the front, with of course this being a proper car that generates 1400 kilograms of downforce. Hence this even requiring the triplex suspension in the front to keep this upright and make sure that it stays up off of the ground and not burrow its way into the earth's core. Nevertheless, guys, a proper beast. And of course, in terms of your handling, you obviously get your basic Koenigsegg electronic stability control system with of course 4 settings: snow, wet, sport and track, your basic stuff. And of course, guys, you also get a proper rear view pane glass right between the seats behind you, of course, that is actually functional. You can in fact use the rear view mirror to check on the traffic, and it is in fact properly functional, thereby just demonstrating how Koenigsegg just keeps on upping their ante, and of course just showing that they are proper engineering masterminds. And not just that, guys, now we move on to the proper party trick and the main big innovation that was used in the jesko, i.e. the 9-speed light-speed transmission. First off, it's a 9-speed gearbox, and the main thing of it is it literally doesn't have a clutch or a flywheel connecting it to the engine, thereby resulting in zero loss of inertia or power being put down, thereby just showing that this thing has light speed reflexes and responses in terms of how you accelerate, brake, and your basic stuff when it comes to accelerating, upshifting, downshift and all. But the thing is, that's not all. There's literally way more to the story, and we'll keep going. First off, of course, you get your flappy paddle gearbox, but the thing is, the gearbox also gives you a sequential transmission. Yes, guys, you literally get a sequential and a flappy paddle gearbox in this. That is literally just completely bonkers. But that's not all. The main first notch, i.e. the first click that you do with the paddle or the stick shift, is of course the upshift or downshift depending on what paddle you pull, and of course flicking it upward to downshift or flicking it downward to upshift on the stick shift. But there is a second notch on both the paddles as well as the stick shift, and that is basically you, i.e. the driver, engaging the U-pod feature, i.e. the ultimate power on demand, which is basically something that is not at all doable in a basic double clutch transmission, given the fact that, of course, I'll give you an example. Supposedly you are cruising in the jesko at 7th gear at 70 or 80 kilometers, and you suddenly just want to drop a gear and disappear. Of course, you could drop it all the way from 7, 6, 5, 4, 3 and 2 and max out your rev and RPMs. But the thing is, you literally just need to flick either your downshift paddle, or you literally just need to flick the stick shift upward and into the second notch on both either the paddle or the stick shift, and it will drop it from 7th to 2nd gear and max out at literally at around 8000 or 8200 RPM, and it will literally rev match it and make sure you literally have zero loss of power. And you literally just need to put down your foot, flick it forward with either the stick or just double tap it with the paddle, and you will literally just drop a gear and disappear. This 9-speed light-speed transmission is literally the textbook meaning of drop a gear and disappear. And of course, in your basic double clutch transmission, that is literally not doable. Supposedly, once again, you are in 7th gear, you want to go again fully flat out. Supposedly from 7th you want to drop all the way to 2nd. You can't bypass all the gears. You have to go 6, 5, 4, 3 and then 2. But the thing with the U-pod feature and this complete 9-speed light-speed transmission is it literally bypasses all that, and you can literally just engage whatever gear you want. And the main reason for that is this thing does in fact have 7 small multi-disc wet clutches, thereby just showing that you literally have every gear ready at your helm, every forward gear, of course. And of course, this thing has 3 sets of 3 gears in each set, 3 times 3 equaling 9 gears, thereby just showing how much engineering had gone right into the gearbox, and to the fact that you can literally drop from 7th gear all the way to 2nd and just put your foot down and have zero loss of power. That just shows what Koenigsegg is capable of, and their engineering process is just a proper level that keeps on increasing car by car. And well, guys, as I said, this thing is a proper main party trick on this. I mean, you literally just need to drop a gear and disappear, and the U-pod feature and the 9-speed light speed are a proper textbook meaning of that. I mean, someone put that in the automotive dictionary for real. Actually do it right now. And well guys, I mean, you can't do that in a double clutch. You can in no way bypass 5 or forget 2 gears, you can't even bypass 5 gears. And in terms of the fact of the jesko, this 9-speed light speed, you can literally bypass as many gears as you want, come down to the most optimal gear and drop a gear and disappear. I mean, it's as easy as that. And the complete engineering prowess, guys, it is a complete engineering masterpiece and a proper beast of all. And of course guys, the fact that you literally get a flappy paddle gearbox and a sequential transmission in a 1600 horsepower Swedish rocket, it is completely bonkers. And the fact is guys, DCTs change gears in milliseconds, which is very impressive. But Koenigsegg literally said we can do better, and they literally said hold my beer, and created one of the most revolutionary innovations to ever come to fruition in the entire face of the planet. And this thing can literally go from one end of the gearbox all the way to the other end, all the way from 7th to 2nd, 7th to 1st, you name it, the 9-speed light speed could do it, and in relatively no time. Hence the name 9-speed light speed. As I said guys, it literally changes gears in literally 0 time. It is literally instantaneous. It is way more quicker than instantaneous. If there was a word that went ahead of instantaneous, that is the word that I would use right here. That is literally why the 9-speed light speed is a literal meaning to this gearbox. I mean, 7 clutches, 3 sets of 3 gears, 9 gears, you get a proper flappy paddle gearbox along with the sequential transmission. And of course, the U-pod feature is an ultimate cheat code for the fact of dropping a gear and disappearing. As I said, it's a literal proper textbook meaning. And well, the 9-speed light speed joins Koenigsegg's complete technology up, being one of its most revolutionary innovations to ever be made, and it will go down in history as one of the best innovations to ever be made in the automotive sector. And a fun fact about the jesko is guys, the jesko is in fact named after Mr. Christian von Koenigsegg's very own beloved father, i.e. Jesko von Koenigsegg. And of course, only 125 of the jeskos will ever be made, spanning across obviously both the absolute and attack variants. But nevertheless guys, what do you think? I mean, the engineering prowess of the 9-speed light speed still blows my mind as to how someone made to do it. But of course, if anyone had to do it, it had to be Koenigsegg. This stuff is literally right up their alley to completely take on a very impossible task. I mean, if you would have told me, even forget 5 years, even if you would have told me about 3 or 4 years ago that a gearbox would be made where you could literally bypass half of the gearbox to get your optimal gear, I would not believe you. But nevertheless, here we are, where Koenigsegg are showing what they are capable of, and boy are we living in a proper legendary era of hypers and supers, where sorry, I meant hypers and mega cars as it is, and the standard just keeps on getting increased with car by car. And of course guys, you've got other competitors as well, but Koenigsegg are literally over here just kicking ass. And of course guys, who can forget about the beautiful menacing looks that this has? This thing looks incredibly beautiful. No one will even know that this thing spits flames from factory with a 5-liter twin turbo V8. That still blows my mind as well as to how a twin turbo V8 sounds as menacing as this and spits flames from factory. Literally don't know if that's possible, but that's once again, that's literally Koenigsegg doing their own Swedish magic and literally just setting new standards and doing stuff that will literally be called impossible. But nevertheless, they managed to get it done, and they do it on a level that no other car marquee comes even close to. And of course guys, another fun fact about the jesko is this thing was in fact initially known as the jesko track. It was bound to be called the jesko track, but nevertheless it came forth to be known as the jesko attack, which if you ask me sounds way more better. But nevertheless guys, what do you guys think? Thanks a lot for watching guys. Remember to that sub button and click the bell to ensure you don't miss out on any future videos. Thanks a lot for watching guys. See ya.